Okay, let's go.
Have you ever been sitting in a meeting, minding your own business, when suddenly someone looks right at you and asks, "What do you think?" Your stomach drops, your heart races, the room goes quiet, and you are expected to deliver a perfectly articulate answer on the spot. If that moment fills you with dread, you are in the overwhelming majority. Surveys show that 85% of people fear public speaking. It is a completely normal biological reaction to freeze when the spotlight swings your way. Neutralizing this panic requires a shift in focus. By moving away from spontaneous reaction and toward a predictable, structured method, you can navigate high-pressure speaking with clarity. To do this, we are going to build what we'll call the communication blueprint. Before we go any further, I want you to think of an upcoming scenario where you have to speak. A pitch, a meeting, or even a toast. Grab a piece of paper. We are going to map out your strategy right now, step by step. By the time we are done, you'll see that effective communication is an architectural process. You can engineer your message from the ground up to ensure you remain steady under pressure. Step 1 of your blueprint happens before you even open your mouth. You have to change how you view the speaking event itself. Reframe the moment as an opportunity, a chance to share your ideas, your beliefs, or your innovations. Cross out the idea that this is a test where you are being judged. Amateur speakers usually focus on what they want to say. To be effective, you must pivot and ask, what does my audience need to hear? This shift in perspective puts you in service of your listeners. To figure out what they need, you have to do some reconnaissance. On your paper, create 3 columns. We need to map out the audience's knowledge, their expectations, and their attitudes. First, look at their knowledge. What do they already know about your topic? If they are unfamiliar, identify what baseline information to scaffold so they have the basic tools. Next, evaluate their expectations. Consider what kind of presentation they are waiting for. Sometimes violating those expectations is the most effective way to capture attention. Finally, gauge their attitudes. Determine if you are walking into a room that is already in favor of your idea, completely agnostic, or highly resistant. Rigorously profiling your audience shifts your focus away from your own performance. When you are occupied with being service-oriented, the physiological symptoms of anxiety naturally begin to recede. Step 2 of our blueprint maps out the external variables. We call this the context. These are the environmental boundaries that dictate how your message lands. Think about the time of day. Speaking to a room full of people right after lunch requires a different approach than a sharp morning session. You might need to increase your energy, make the session highly collaborative, and use interactive activities to keep a low-energy crowd engaged. Then there is the emotional context. Beyond the raw information, what feeling do you need to generate? Define whether your goal is to create urgency, motivate, or build confidence. Lastly, you must account for location. Whether you are in a massive auditorium or a virtual video call, the physical or digital space dictates how you use eye contact and project your voice. A Girl Scout recently set the state record for cookie sales by setting up her table in front of a medical marijuana dispensary. Placing her product where her audience was highly motivated proved the sheer power of location mapping. Delivering the right message in the wrong context guarantees failure. Situational awareness is a mandatory layer of your communication blueprint. Step 3 is where we organize your thoughts. Structured information is up to 40% easier for human brains to encode and remember than a random list of facts. This brings us to structural frameworks. The chronological framework moves linearly through 3 stages: past, present, and future. Use this timeline for project updates. It provides a clear map, guiding the audience from where things were to where they're going. The persuasive framework influences behavior through a 3-step sequence: problem, solution, and benefit. By identifying a specific pain point first, you prime the audience. Then you reveal your solution and the tangible benefits the audience will receive. The MacGyver framework is ideal for impromptu situations, relying on 3 questions: what, so what, and now what? First, define the core issue. Second, explain why it's critical. Third, hit now what by dictating the immediate next steps required. Silk soy milk provides a clear example of this structure in action. The name itself, a combination of the words soy and milk, was built on a specific structure designed to sound rich and familiar to consumers. Choosing a rigid structure prevents you from getting lost in your own thoughts. It ensures your audience always has a map to follow, making your message far more memorable. Look at your paper now. Step by step, you have taken a blank page and transformed it into a strategic, multi-layered map. You have analyzed your audience, accounted for the environment, and selected a rigid structure. By applying these layers of analysis, the unpredictability of spontaneous speaking becomes a manageable, tactical process. You are no longer guessing. You are working from a plan. Now take this map and stand up. Physically practice delivering your points out loud to build muscle memory. Speak into the room. When you combine empathetic audience reconnaissance with strict structural frameworks, you can think fast and speak smartly.